it can completely turn your life around and near ruin your life.
For Charlotte Finley, coming out to her parents was a positive experience, but for some of her friends, it meant facing abuse or ending up on the street. It's those parental reactions that have members of the LGBTQ2 community worried about recent policies in New Brunswick and Saskatchewan, and potentially Ontario and Manitoba soon, too. Both provinces now require schools to get parents' permission for pronoun use and name changes.
This isn't about specifically pronouns. This is about bringing families closer to what is happening in their child's school and ultimately in their child's classroom.
Depending on the family, it could mean youth not having proper support or hiding who they are.
It can cause a lot of stress and possible suicides to occur within more, especially trans youth, who this would be affecting a lot more as for like the name changing.
Studies have shown LGBTQ2 youth with high levels of parental rejection are about 8 times more likely to report attempting suicide.
This sort of like family support for 2S LGBTQ youth is often a life or death situation. I've worked with so many young people who have told me, stories about how their lives have been threatened by their parents after coming out.
And conflict with family around a child's identity is a major factor to youth homelessness, with about 40% of homeless youth identifying as LGBTQ2.
It's actually the most frequently cited pathway into homelessness among 2S LGBTQ young people.
Alex Abramovich with the Center for Mental Health and Addiction says the policies could create one less safe space for youth.
Everybody should be able to go to school freely and just be who they are and not have to have this added stress, this added sort of burden of not being able to just to be yourself.
Some arguments behind the policy changes are about broadening parental rights surrounding gender identity. Yet Jamie Sagrove at the Canadian Centre for Gender and Sexual Diversity says being against the changes is not about opposing parents being involved in their children's lives.
If a youth is not necessarily ready to tell a parent about that name change, wondering why maybe that is, and making sure that there are safe environments where youth can explore their identity without having to think about the repercussions at home.
Anna Kinderwater with Calgary Pride says she came out later in life, but while she won't be impacted by the policy changes, she says those backing the policies should consider why they are doing so.
I just really encourage people to think about this from a human perspective, not just from the perspective of wanting to put this through because it puts a blockage from confronting them with a conversation that scares them and they don't understand it, which I think is a lot of the issues that I'm running into.
She says parents may be scared to have the conversation with their child, or they don't understand it and don't know how to approach it.
Is it really worth putting something through that would harm hundreds of kids versus having a difficult conversation and learning about something that makes you uncomfortable?
With Manitoba and Ontario signaling changes of their own, it's a conversation more Canadians may face in the coming months. Sean Previl, Global News.